Damian Durr.
Damon D. Fields.
This is Kofa Conversations.
All right, black to the building, black to the building, and black to the healing, you all. We having a very great conversation, as we always do. This in particular was dealing with, what was yesterday? Umoja? Was it Umoja yesterday? Kuja Chocolate.
Self-determination.
Yes, and that was our discussion with Professor Grip yesterday, in the discussion in Brother Lasana Hotel. And so many things that we got out of that. And we started talking about D making a call to order. That's the term I should have used, a call to order that got me fired. You see what I'm saying? And we are having that discussion on how these things manifest us. I wanted to add something to it. What I said with facts and feelings. That's what I was leading to about the church. Okay. So after all I learned all these things in the church, I was supposed to be Reverend Robinson. Okay. I was supposed, listen, all through my school, I was superintendent of the church at 12, bro. Everything was church, bro. Right. And then somewhere along the line, I run into information. Yeah. I didn't abandon it. I simply went back to the people who had given me knowledge and said, hey, what does that mean? Right. This guy told me this. Man, you just got to believe. Yeah. Don't question God. Oh. Don't wind up in hell. And the people that I love now, I felt like they were stopping me. They were confining me. And then when I started going out, you're losing your mind. What's wrong with you? You don't become a Muslim. All right. Become no Muslim. What happens then, I call that when faith and feelings collide. Absolutely. When the thing you love most. So what I was missing during on my journey, it sounds like an oxymoron, was the love that I had from the church.
No doubt. You mentioned earlier, you were talking about gangs, working with you. Right. And you were talking about it and summarizing kind of how a gang is. It's basically a group of people that are set up on a certain hierarchy, a certain order, and everything. And so, but the term has been demonized now. Right. With the gang. And so I want to go to that. That particular love that you're looking for is the same as the homies might be looking for, just in a different group setting. You know what I mean? And so with that, you were talking about the story. It was ringing so supreme to me as you were saying it, because I had a similar type of story. I was the same. Now I wasn't about to be archbishop of the when my man said superintendent at 12, it wasn't none of that. But I mean, I was the same, bro. I earned my $5 for being able to learn all 66 books in the Bible, being able to write them down.
What you know about Vacation Bible School?
Vacation Bible School.
Did you?
Yeah, man. Look,
You got to say Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy,
I knew him, and look, we had a competition.
That's right.
The spirit of entrepreneurship was there, brother. We had a competition. You got $5 if you knew him. I was like, what? I beat everybody, got my $5. Only thing I had to ask him, now I know we got this 10% rule. Now I got to give 50 cents. Now do I got to do that one time? Or I got to keep doing it over there? You know what I'm saying? my godfather was a pastor at the time, so my godmother explained to me, no, baby, you just do it one time. I said, oh, okay, that's good. I keep another $4.50. You know what I'm saying? And so, but basically, I mean, that's that love that we look for, that we knew and understood that in the church, and it did give you some principles and some practices and some ways to be able to act, in a certain manner. And I mean, and because we know that the particular religion, we talked about Christianity, we know that it's been tainted in by some people, but that doesn't mean that many of the practices, principles are gone. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, so there are some deep-rooted principles, practices, philosophies, more ways, folk ways, and all of that in there that teach you how to be a man. It's kind of like, you remember Kobe giving a little shout out, I guess, to the Hughes brother when we brothers on Men's Society. He said, look, man, if Allah can teach him to be a better man than Jesus can, then I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He basically saying whatever it is, because the concept was he needs to be a better man. If this system don't work, this system can. And so I look at you now as the man that you are, and I say that particular system may not have worked in the way in which you wanted it to. Yeah. To be able to grow to be the man that you are today. And so,
without it, I would have never been that way at all.
Yeah. And let's just be clear. What we don't understand is like all of this derived out of the Bible. Yeah. And what it all is about is teaching not only the males but the females and the family discipline. Right. See, this is the core of the discipline, and the social order. But to teach it, to be able to learn them 66 books, that's a discipline.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. to be able to say, I have not committed this, I have not, that's a discipline.
That's right.
You know,
Right.
so a lot of times we get spooked out about situations and don't understand it's a discipline, because even in the now, and I'm not speaking of just Egypt, we talking about all up and down the Nile.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's what a lot of times we don't understand. We talking about all up and down.
1,100 miles.
Yes.
Yeah.
You might have had the wife may have been a Christian, the husband might have been a Muslim. They understood that this was a tool for your discipline, whatever it is, but in the household, we family.
Right,
And then when we
right.
go out, and then it was a political tool as well. We've gotten away from all of that. It's disciplines that I can relate to. Once again, we still talking about Dylan Fuller, the
Right.
9 areas of human activity. You discipline yourself to understand this and that, and you move forward with it, if that makes sense.
It makes all sense in the world.
Yeah.
It goes back, I'm gonna go back to your point. I'll start with D. You said discipline is self-imposed order. Enough said. There are multiple terms for it, but at its base, it's self-imposed order. No matter what you bring in to be able to keep it in, you must have discipline. And you must put it in order, just like those 9 structures.
That's right.
What you said about, and going back to what young men enjoy, man, is I said that a sense of belonging, a sense of security, a sense of power, a sense of family. He's just looking for a family at the end of the day.
But it's our culture. It's tribalism. It was a tribe. You come out of a tribe.
Mhm.
So it's already understood, but in that tribe there was principles and there was value systems in it.
Right.
So what's happening is we still want to tribal, but a lot of times, like Griff was saying last night, sometimes, most of the time, we were letting our drunk uncles create the value system in the tribe.
Come on now. And your silence is admission.
That's
Right?
right.
You saying, well, I wasn't doing it. Well, you didn't say shit about it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You slapping the shit out of me and raping this other little girl. I mean, come on, we getting 100. And you keeping it quiet because you feel like you're going to get beat.
Yeah. Or people be keeping up the family secrets thing, where you know, we ain't gonna say nothing.
That's family trauma. Yo, that ain't no secrets. Them trauma. All that trauma you fool around with.
Trauma, correct terminology. We deal with definitions. You gotta be able to have them right.
So how do we look at this? How do we look at it to, somebody was using this terminology last night about future Africans or whatever it is, you know. So
It's a unique term.
future is,
Afrofuturism.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
Afrofuturism.
that's what it is.
I had never heard that before.
Yeah, I heard of it. Yeah, I heard of it.
That's the first time I heard it.
Yeah, so, and I'm just using it for an example. I'm not saying that's what it is, but
Okay.
I think what needs to be understood a little bit more is like, how do we, because when we talk about Amos Wilson always said culture is only supposed to fix problems. If it no longer solves problems,
It ain't no good.
Hey.
so basically all we had said is that, I looked at it like this right here. It's time for a cultural shift.
I like that. I like that.
If
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking
You
about.
keep the culture, but you need to shift. You need to make
Yeah.
it appropriate. Dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
And I think that whole level of the whole socialization is, and if you have masculinity missing in socialization, it can't be replaced by a woman.
Because everybody shifts. Every
Right.
culture, I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not even just speaking of a deep culture spirit. I'm talking about even in entrepreneurship or in business, the culture shifts. At one point, Louis Vuitton was putting cases on Dapper Dan for cutting it out and making a flavor of hip hop fly to Louis. After a while, they started to see how the streets was adapting to it, and they were seeing how much influence he had. Louis said, "Well, look at, we need to sign him to be a designer."
Did they?
Yes, sir.
How do you do that?
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't either.
Okay.
Yes, sir. He talks about it. He has a book. It's an excellent book, you know, that I read some years ago. But he talks about, but what he was doing, he was putting an African twist to it. He took a trip to Africa, and he saw the patterns and everything in it. So what he did, he went back and I forget, it was 4 or 6 African tailors and brought them back. He was running a 24-hour shop in New York.
3 shifts.
All African designers, and they was in there, so all the street cats could go in there and get what they wanted to go out that night. They knew they could go in there and grab something in the middle of the night. And it was all based off of the African concept, that he had went to Africa and saw that. And Louis said, wait a minute, instead of fighting this man, put him on the
Let's put
team.
him out.
If you can't beat them, join them. You know what I'm saying?
That's that imagination. I think what you said, the Afrofuturism, that's what Rip just broke it down. He's imagination.
That's right.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to give the snap version. When you said the word, I could identify with it. Like, I really could. And those who are listening now, you see how we're learning from each other. It's just certain things you'll say, Rashida, you didn't know that? No, I didn't. There's a whole lot of things I don't know. You know, and we get judged by that. You know, you think because a dude knew this, he's supposed to know all of that. Don't take that burden, brothers. And I'm saying that if you're going to learn from our conversation, don't take that burden. What you supposed to know? Well, if I'm supposed to know it, I'll know it when I know it.
When you go to the mega chain grocery stores or department stores, they got a general manager, they got a manager over the health, over the meat,
That's
they
right.
got somebody over the whatever situation.
Right. And it's all about progression and back to the young neophytes. And I'm not going to call them, you know, when I say neophyte, I'm talking about the ones, young brothers that other people otherwise call gangs. Identifying with the seven. Most people didn't understand what they were doing with the seven. If they say 2 self-imposed pyramid, you call it 6-point star. 360 degrees play, you still don't know who you are. 140 is on the concrete for your homies that died, and nothing but libation representing ancestral pride. The stud in your left ear and the hoop on the right once represented a Nubian warrior. Hell yeah, mighty ass neophyte. See, I know you crossed the burning sands, but where's your land? God pities the food, but it respects the man. I'm gonna stop right there. Now, with that being the case, let's break that down to those sevens. You know, what is the 7th letter? The 7th letter is the G, right? That's when you get the word G. So it's a lot of things that I could break down as the manhood, but all these boys are going back to that man. They just giving their own version of it. And if they don't have that supervisor, they just gonna take full autonomy over some things that are ignorant. 1943, they went into Chicago, started Folk and People Nation. What were they symbols? The 7 sign, the so-called 6-point star, all those symbols, the crescent moon. Where do you think those things came from? And before we was tribes, we were nation. That's why you got tribalism, because Cracker gave us that. Then you went into 1943 and you created black leadership overthrowing oppressive dictator, which you now call Bloods, but back in the day we used to call them Young Bloods. They was in the movies all the time. Young Blood, let me holler at you. And then you get 1948, community revolutionized in peace, which you call them cuz. Well, if I call you Young Blood, that's family. If I call you cuz, what is that? Family. Yeah. But that's how powerful the father is. That was the one thing that all picture was missing.
Who wiped it out? Go ahead, you don't have to go down. You got to go ahead and to the family. Go ahead and tell them how it became extinct.
All right. But in the 1960s, for fear of a black revolution, J. Edgar Hoover created the COINTELPRO solution. Feed them greed, give them drugs, and then tag them with colors. Substitute welfare for fathers, then leave them with their mothers. Turn a liberation organization into a criminal gang. Employ them through the drug trade and then watch those bastards bang. Peaceful communities ravaged by an undeclared war led by a group of black gangsters who don't know who they are. See, the Maroon Nation sits atop of the revolutionary tree. They and they alone hold the title of the original G. I gave you the scripted version because in order to break it down, like I said, you got to come to my workshop. He told me that I can't give everything out at one time. I'm following that order.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, bro.
But those are the same things that we're doing and what we're saying with hip hop. When Grip was talking about, we started beating on different things. When we took certain things out of school, we started scratching. You know, that was something that was hip hop. We beat the drums back in the day. All this is just a continuation under different names. And I think, man, that divine intervention says when you did the call to order, I'm gonna find out what that day was. Because, man, I took Brother Quasi to heart. I remember we were in 47 churches that had been burned in this area, and Colin came to your store. We all were there. We got organized, got in cars, a whole bunch of us, and headed down to Greenville, where the church had just burned down. By the time we got there, we had about 5 police cars behind us, about 5 in front of us. Brother, they followed us the whole way. When we got in there, I remember Colin and Brother Quasi get into a fierce argument, man. I'm like, what is going on? And you got 2 strong brothers. You know what the argument was? Quasi's like, I see they got cameras, man. We got to record our own history. And I was kind of like, man, why you going at Colin like that? I understand that.
Because they brought CNN. He called it not CNN, it was C-SPAN.
C-SPAN, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was in the cameras, and Brother Quasi was telling him to hit over here with us, man. Talking, he was like, let me get to He's like, wait, what?
I remember that.
But my point to that is, having that level of order, that was my understanding. Learning in the field. And that's why you are who you are. That's how you can do a call to order, because you learn from some of us old heads. You've been sitting right there, brother. Yeah. And I think that should be a continuation. And I say that coming like around to Brother Quasi to say, Happy Earth Day, brother. We got to do something for that brother. We did that last night. We talked a little about it. But I want to throw him a party. I'm talking about champagne. That's all that's culture.
Everything.
When Brother
Talking about
Quazy,
that water in the wine earlier.
what village we went to when I went with Brother Quazy to we went to Egypt, Aswan, not Egypt, Cairo, Aswan, Abu Simbel. I can't think of all the places. No, that's right. You went to all of them. Okay. Luxor, we went to all. Okay. But I remember I did my own little thing while I was there. Brother Quazy can tell you. I was everywhere. Where Rashidi at? He in a village somewhere. I don't know what's going on. I went to a wedding, man. It was like 3 o'clock. I didn't come back to 6 o'clock the next day, and they were still partying. Wow. I said, this how they get down. What did go to my brother?
Just found
to sleep.
You just found a way, bro?
I was out there talking to people.
Okay.
Telling them who I was, man, tell me what's going on. I'm trying to find that Disney people, I'm seeing the fine hotels and the things that was for us. I wanted to find the original people I could talk about.
Yeah. You got to get off the beaten path. I mean, with the tourist thing, that's what I like.
Right.
Being on the trip, giving that plug to Brother Quazy. If you're going to Kimberly trip, I mean, you got your time. The boot camp.
Right.
You get up at 5 o'clock. You doing this. I was telling somebody about this day before yesterday. I said, we're going to Kimberly trip. It is. It's like boot camp. You get up, you go and do this before the sun get in his high point on there. And then about 1 or so, they might tell you, hey, you got some free time today. So you go out. We go mosey around the city, do some things like that. We went out at nighttime after we came back, and then we did the lecture at night, and then we were able to go out there. We went out to some people, look at my age, I was 20-something in, and we went out and kicked it with them like the whole night, and they came, oh man, come on, y'all can come in here and eat and do this. And we were like, wow. I mean, we talk about here like Southern hospitality. Yeah. And I tell you, the few times that I've been to the motherland, that is like you see where Southern hospitality comes from.
He said a few times. What you mean? 5?
I'm before.
I'm gonna try 24. I'm gonna go with
in the 5 countries. Yeah, man.
When you go, he said he was going on in 24.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna try to go on in 24.
We hold him to that. Y'all hear that? We are gonna hold him to that.
I mean, with the brotherhood we create now, that would be something that would be powerful. One of the things we were talking about with the fathers for life, fathers to take further. Life is the symbol of the Ankh, which I call the Ankh, a vessel. That's the mothership to me. But for us to go there and to ratify our brotherhood on that land would be something pretty powerful. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think that's necessary, man, for us to be able to pull that off. Yep. I'll say this too before I go. I went to dinner with this guy who sold my wife being an alabaster statue for $275, and it was not worth that because I could have went right across the way and got $15. Okay. And then when Brother Quazy told me that, I was like, man. I said, he got me. I said, I'm going to go get my money back. He said, no, brother, that's not going to happen. Right. I said, oh, yeah, it is. You're like, brother, you in Africa. I said, I'm still human. That's all right. I'm going to talk to him. So I go back in there, and we get into this argument. And so I realized he was psychology guy. I said, you know what, man? That's okay. I said, I thought by coming to Egypt that I would see a true Muslim. Well, you were disrespectful of the Quran and Allah. That was like, no. This mug gave me my $275 back. He gave me 2 more alabaster statues and invited me to dinner that night.
I just told you it's political.
It is definitely political.
As an example.
Right there.
I told Brother Quazy, like, bro, I guess you can negotiate in every country, yeah, bro.
Yeah, you got to just know where to hit somebody.
Yeah.
You know where to hit them.
It was all right up to the point that he asked me, did I like his wife? He liked mine.
Oh, no,
Yeah. We had a little disagreement.
You said, go get your dick broke down. You ain't got to get your dick broke down.
I said, we don't share it.
Yeah, as I said, I know we did it customarily, and I could appreciate it if that had been the case a long time ago, but no.
Go get your dick broke. So before we close out, though, we were talking last night as well. I mean, you kind of talked about it. I mean, you talked about what I like to do is, because, everybody was talking last night, and they're like, we just got to get freedom. And my question is, and what it was even last night, what is freedom? Because I remember, we were talking about hip-hop, so the first thing I thought about is when Common went to Cuba, and he interviewed Assata Shakur. And they asked her about freedom. She said, I don't know what freedom is. She said, what is freedom? She said, I don't know what freedom is. She said, I've been basically over here. He's interviewing her on For Water for Like Chocolate on the album. And Asada is saying, I don't know what freedom is, because I've never been free. Is what she said. You know what I'm saying?
You know, when I thought about it last night, that's why I said that.
Right.
We didn't have enough time to go into it. If you ask 50 people what is freedom, you get 50 different answers, which means you don't get freedom. But in my mind, simplistically and quickly, the first thing that came to my mind is for me to be able to assemble my thoughts and be able to take actions on my thoughts and not be oppressed as a result of that. You know, I can't say it's a house, it's a this, it's a that.
Right.
But if I'm a man and I can think what I believe and take actions and not be suppressed upon that, whether I look or what have you, that's true. I mean, that's my freedom. And sure, there are many other variables that would say it too.
Yeah, because I feel like Gaddafi thought he was free. I feel like the brother in Iraq, Saddam.
Saddam Hussein, yeah.
How about the weapons of mass destruction?
Bin Laden thought he was free.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you riding around on a camera with a 6'6", you know. I knew they could find you if they wanted you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So does that make sense? So like,
No, it definitely does. I mean, because if you're somewhere where you can get touched by somebody at any time, I mean, is that really freedom? I mean, and who is providing this freedom? Is it? I mean, now I like what you said. Like you say, internally.
Right.
We always talked about it. We like to make sure we repeat it on.
Y'all started here first.
Yeah, you know, we want to make sure that we talk about, you know, what is a man? You know, we say a man is someone.
A man is a male who acts and thinks and lives socially and psychologically responsible, but willing to provide, produce, and protect for himself so he can do the same for his family.
Now, so when we come off of it, when we say co for that, we go back to that, we have to look and say, okay, now that man desires to be free. Okay, so now if he desires to be free, and you mentioned those guys, they had that similar concept we're talking about a man. They have a pattern of what it means to be a man in their culture. But if anybody can be able to pick you off at any particular time, we have to say, is that freedom? So this is the thing that we talked about. We're from many other people who deal with this. We deal with defense. We talked about before about a man being part of that being a male is to be able to protect. Now, we understand that that's not the totality of it, because we talk about the man, the rah, but ain't got, you know, nothing up here. So we understand the duality of that. So we need to be able to get that to the honest and be able to understand. You have to have the duality of both. We got to be able to think. You know, that's the part of being a man. A woman is generally attracted to a man just because of how he moves.
Right.
And of course she wants protection.
Right.
She don't want somebody that can just come slap it and go, oh, and then he going, well, baby, let's just go and go home. You know
Right.
I mean, ain't no woman looking for that.
Right.
You know, at the same time, she want to look, when a difficult situation comes about, how do you do? What do you do? Are you able to, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
and so that freedom, I guess mine is more of a question than an answer. Like, do you think that it has to be a duality of both? It has to be a way in which you think, but then what about the physical aspect of the protection too? You know, on the freedom. I'm saying there's freedom.
Yeah.
Is freedom the Constitution of the state of Texas said you can walk around with open carry? Is that freedom?
There's something we call a quantum model and a platonic model. One is cause and effect, and one is causing effect. Let's start with this first. The cost of freedom, one man said, that I respect greatly was Malcolm. He said, is death. Maybe he was free, but he still got killed because you have to pay a price for the things that you want. If you want to go out and really lift weights and really be hard on football teams with that, you may even get injured to where you won't fulfill your dreams, but you were free to do it. I think this is why we are here today, to have these conversations with men we respect to get these answers.
Right.
See, the man is always, what did we say, neophyte. We said we're always neophytes, and we should always be. Because when I feel like I know everything, that means, I shut off my ability to learn. So, and the other thing is, said, well, I did say because if he killed, I'm asking as a question, does that mean that he wasn't free?
I guess I'm looking at it, and it's not an answer, it's more of a statement. And what I'm looking at is with the freedom, I think we have to define the value system of freedom.
There you go.
And what I mean by that is, am I trying to be free in a European society, or am I trying to be free to, first of all, think and act and move in a way that for me and my family, you see what I'm saying, and not necessarily incorporate into someone else's
version.
Right. Because I think, first of all, I think a lot of the times is we was gauging freedom off of what the propaganda of the American dream.
Yes, yes, yes. I know what you're saying.
So I think that we have to be able to start to identify what was the dream before it was American dream. You know what I'm saying? What was the apex of civilization before we could gauge the American dream? You know, kind of when we talked about Timbuktu and Mali and Jenin, however you say it, but those type of places, I think we have to paint. Even like when we talk about Black Wall Street, that's, to me, is still, even though we made a big accomplishment, it wasn't the black dream so far because we still allowed someone to come in and disrupt what we did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I'm saying on the freedom part. And like, we've dealt with, I've been dealing with a lot in the nationalist community. And I mean, in one of the parts that I respected, I mean, one we talked about the Nation of Islam earlier, and you know, and the discipline that the brothers have, you know. And then as I looked into the Republic of New Africa, and like I'm a member of NCOPA, the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations. That was started by and called by many people of the Republic of New Africa. But the Republic of New Africa, they always had the black legionnaires. Right. Now that's the army, because we have to have that part of defense. Now, I mean, and that, like you say, it does go into defining it as we saw it, and being able to take that and utilize it in today. Because we talked about the culture earlier. It ain't good if it don't work for today. I mean, the freedom that we were looking for back, say, when we were in Kemet, maybe it was, I mean, I don't know what the actual version of freedom was there, where they would consider themselves like, oh, this is freedom. This is, you know, the epitome, or like you say, the apex of what we're looking for. But we have to be able to look at our different texts and define that and see how do we say that today. Because, I mean, living in this society, I mean, there's going to be certain things. You got Social Security number, you got Social Security, you know, there's going to be certain things that we're going to have. And some people say, well, that ain't free. So then you see brothers and sisters, they might be out on the streets. And they may say, well, this represents freedom for me. Yeah, but at 14 degrees, that's rough, you know, to be able to be out there. You know
I'm glad you said that. Let me, I'm not going to cut you off.
No, go ahead, bro.
See, I think this is the thing that we don't look at. Is we come, even with the freedom that we feel like we moving into, or the world, the age that we in with information age, we think that we are free to be able to be free thinkers, and we don't even really understand that we really been programmed.
Hell, no, go ahead.
So we've been programmed on that. So you're really not a free thinker, like what Rashidi said. But even we talking about the Nile civilization, when they was actually able to be at the apex of what they were doing, it wasn't a democracy of freedom. It was a dictatorship of freedom. Until you go through and learn all of the ways to become a master of the universe is when you're able to be a free thinker. You had to go to these universities for 40 years and learn all the ways, as they say in the Bible, learn all the ways of the Egyptians. Is what it?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we go and we still neophyte and we want to say that I got something to say. No, you really don't.
Oh,
you ain't really learned nothing to say nothing.
Brother Crazy said something that was so powerful that I remember he talked about in the school. He talked about, they said you got to go to school for 40 years. He gave me 2 terms I never forget. He said the term university came from Kemet. They said you knew everything that was known in the universe at that time. And the thing about that, we said university. You know everything in the known universe. I was like, wow. And then the second part when he talked, it hit me hard. He said, when you came into the school, you couldn't even say anything. I was like, well,
for 40 years.
I'm like, you can't even talk, you can't say nothing. What you mean? They said, you're not even intelligent enough to be able to ask a question. And I said, damn, I didn't tell you, know what I mean? I mean, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna talk.
I mean, knowledge has to be power. That means that knowledge has to be something. You go home and soak it.
And they say you've been tested every day because not only with the current hell, your peers, you had to go and convince them that you knew what you were talking about. But now we got 1 or 2 people that can become influencers.
Oh man, with the social
and everybody listen to them. And they just figured out how to manipulate what we're doing right now. And because they have so-called all of the numbers, we looking at them as receipts, as they say. Them really ain't receipts. You didn't really see you really doing like back in the day that the boosters used to do in the before they got computerized. You going into the grocery store, you taking the sticker off of this cheap thing and putting it on this one here.
Yeah.
Sure, it's fine.
Let's take it out. We gotta take a break, y'all.